Good morning to you all. This is morning, I guess. Man, that dog's had me walking them all night, it seemed like, at one level or another. Well, good day to you all. I hope you all are fine and that you're working yourself to Wellville. Some of you are so focused and so great. It's amazing. I love it. I love to see that. It just reminds me of the old days where it just seemed like we were just tearing it up, and to see how deep you could go into the human body and see what all you could get out of it. Some of these pictures you're sending me are just something else. Matter of fact, then lead into that just a little bit here. A guy sent me some pictures, and I'm not sure quite what it is, of course. This guy, let me see, make sure it's a guy, Paulus. He's been ingesting the herbs and tinctures orally, but also taking tinctures rectally. Now, I find that interesting, and we can talk about, through a syringe, the prostate and kidney formula. That's an interesting thought, and particularly the prostate and kidney formula, because there is some absorption of water, of course. That's what makes your stool more firm, and the distal part of the last part of the descending and sigmoid portion of the colon. And so that water, a lot of times you can tell, is absorbed into the kidneys or absorbed somewhere there. Or the bladder. You can feel that whenever you deal with those type of elimination issues. And so it could be interesting. The absorption in the colon, I think, is somewhat minimal. Trace elements predominantly, or micro trace elements, I'd say. Most of your elements and trace elements come through this 22 foot of small bowel, but you do have some absorption up into the early part, or the ascending, if you want to call it, considering the ileo is down south. But interesting. I have no comment on that part of it one way or another. I know we've used a lot of rectal insertions of God's blend, or the superfood blend that we have, particularly in highly depleted cases, and also Heal All Tea, of course. We've done that because of rectal tumors, colorectal cancers, sigmoid type thing, cancers, and inflammation, all that kind of stuff. But interesting thought. When you're down and you're hurting, I think any way you can get it in, get it in. I'd probably be careful about the lymphatic herbs down there, but then again, you could do some mild lymphatic herbs, and who knows, This is so small, forgive me, I can't hardly read it. This first pick is specimen that dropped out of the butt this evening without any excitement. Not sure what this jellious material is, mucilage. Yeah, this is who knows. Mucus entraps proteins and chemistry and things that the body doesn't want. So when you get a solidified ball of mucus, most of it's probably proteins, could be some starch, but you've got a lot of this mucus and acids and things in these pieces here. So this, when it's more mucus, you wonder if that thing even came through the wall from the interstitial levels. It would be exciting to find that out, or whether you had it like a plug in a diverticulum, a bowel pocket or something. Could be interesting. I'll show you guys what this looks like here. The second pick of two specimens found in my poop. Each are 3/4 long, with one 1/4 inch wide and the other 1/2 inch wide. These are 3D, not flat. They have the texture of flesh and colored skin, kind of look like miniature white potatoes. I have been taking herbal liquid tincture formulas and herbal capsules and some isolate compounds for detoxing of the glands and organs, including the GI tract, orally as herbal liquid tincture formulas, rectally through a syringe and tube, which I think is really purging toxicity. And it's possible. I mean, it's really possible. It would be interesting to see your results. Like I said, I've used the superfood blend up the rectum when you have depleted cases and stuff to try to bring chemistry in there. Important, I think, to go through the digestive process. The tinctures would be more in line. But when you got near-death clients, you're going to do everything you can to try and save them. And rectal insertion of nutrients could be one area. You know, we've done it. Let me see. The results have been more frequent bowel movements, softer stools, oftentimes with a little bit of gelatin-like natural stringy filaments, like no snot texture. Yeah, that's totally. You want to see, and I've never seen anybody not, and if you're not, I wonder why, but you always are going to see strings of mucus coming out of your stools. And if you have the sulfurs, you're going to see it in your color of orange. And many of you have already seen it. I mean, I was talking to Dimitri here after the 42-day water fast, and then the little problem he had shortly after that in the dry fast stage. But the stuff that he got out, you know, during the water fast is copious amounts of mucus, and that's common. You want to see copious amounts of mucus, so the question is, where does this mucus come from? And is it formed by the very diet that you're doing? The answer to the last question is absolutely not. And the answer to this mucus is the diet before. You know, we consume a lot of foreign proteins that the body just doesn't want, and yet we're fixated as a society on proteins. And you just don't see this high in any animal but the carnivore. And remember, the carnivore has a tendency to head for the pre-digested vegetable matter in the colon or in the bowels. You notice lions like to go and rip the gut open of antelopes and things and get into the intestines and things. The only way if you think about this, the only way a true carnivore can actually consume grass and get any benefit from it, which to me would be somewhat essential, that there is some ability of true carnivores to get some carbohydrates, since no matter how you look at it, carbon and oxygen are key components of cell energy, no matter what level of vertebrae you are. So I find it quite interesting, you know, that these carnivores head toward the pre-digested grass, because the intestines of a carnivore are smooth as opposed to our ringed. For maximum absorption, the carnivore gut is designed for minimum absorption. Looking at the length of it, very, very short, 4 times the length of the spine roughly, as opposed to 12 and 30 for herbivores. Big differences in that respect. And so you can see that there's no way a true carnivore deals well with vegetables or fruit. They would deal better actually with fruit as opposed to vegetables, because there's only one animal that does real well with vegetables, and that's the herbivores. You know, we do okay. Omnivores somewhat. Omnivores do have to have grasses. What's interesting, because you look at the grizzly bear, 65% of the diet of a grizzly bear is sage grass. 85% of a black bear is grasses. So when you look at these things, you begin to understand, you know, the differences there. But I find it interesting that an omnivore would be a grass eater. I can bet you that if a bear had to deal with berries or grasses, they'd go to the berries. They would do better with them. Let me show you the picture that this Paul has sent us about these pieces of stuff. Pieces of 8. Yeah, there's a lot of very unusual, nasty, necrotic, all kinds of material coming out of people. And that's the kind of the excitement, is that when you start to see these pieces of thickened mucus and acids and who knows what chemistries in there, definitely what the body doesn't want, but was inside of you, blocking some ability, you know. And that's what happens to mucus. Mucus gets hardened, and if it's in the adrenal glands, it hardens the adrenal glands. If it's in the wall, it hardens the wall of the gut. If it's in the liver, it hardens the liver, etc., etc., etc. And so this is why you see mucus always as part of the elimination. Matter of fact, don't you see mucus when you have a cold and flu-like symptom? Did medical doctors not understand where this mucus comes from? Not difficult to understand the mucosa of the body and mucus and what system mucus is involved in. Your immune system, which is your lymphatic system as well as your sewer system. Big system, isn't it? So I think it's pretty good, man. Can you offer some suggestions of what this might be? Mucus, it could be a little tumor. I mean, I have seen the bodies pop out tumors, and tumors are what? Pockets of fluid. What kind of fluid do you think's in a tumor? Interstitial. Hello. I mean, when you start to look at it and understand it, it becomes quite simplistic and frightening intellectually. So, good job. I mean, you're pulling stuff out of your body that is foreign and shouldn't be there. So good job, fellas. But expect that on all your clients and all you guys yourself. Lots of mucus, plugs, all kinds of things, because you're starting hydration, true interstitial hydration. And that is a lot different story than drinking a little bit of water and calling yourself hydrated. This is a systemic hydration from systemic acidosis. And all this mucus gets hardened and thickened and agglomerated from acidosis. And so you see all this stuff as it hydrates, break loose and come out. They're like coughing. You'll start getting hydration in the lung, interstitial areas of the lungs, and you'll start coughing up mucus. The body shoves it shoves it into the chamber, out for spitting. Pretty efficient little move on that. I think if you understand the simplicity of how the body works, then the complexity of it can come along as long as you maintain the simplicity of it. If you lose the simplicity of it, you'll get yourself lost again. And sometimes when you have a serious issue, you don't have a lot of time to get lost. That's my little gripe. When you're facing cancers or something that can be detrimental to you, there's a lot of places that make claims that waste your time sitting there spinning like Hippocrates. I would never send anybody with the C word to Hippocrates. You must be very careful with Brian over there. You ever heard of the story of walk-ins and what all that means? Just be careful, you know. No, loaded with knowledge and stuff. And don't let people override you and influence you and become psychically tuned to you. Be careful about people that do that to you, that start making strange comments about things. So just be careful with that. But I will tell you that for true success in true lymphatic work, fruits, berries, and melons, you have to understand that nature uses water fasting, not vegetables, not vegetable juices, water fasting. And the next level to that is your fruits, berries, and melons. That's going to be your next level in terms of ease of digestion. Next level in terms of magnetic energy, that's the top of the heap anyway. Nutrition, all of that, top of the heap. So it's that ease of digestion, the high astringent value, the flavonoid. There's a lot of principles within fruits and berries that aid in the elimination of waste in the human body. And you can see that when you go on fruits, you automatically start detoxing. It's just, and you will detox to the vibrational frequency and level of the fruits. When you get to the point, or if you ever get to the point where fruits and berries and melons will not detoxify you any deeper, you only have two things left: water fasting and dry fasting. Those are the only two things left that you can do, because you're already bringing in the herbs of nature. There's nothing any better, there's nothing any higher, there's nothing any more directed to specific tissue than the botanicals. And anybody who says no, then you get in God's face and tell them that, because that's just the way it is. So we can use all these things, and we do, but still nature uses that fasting level when you get to plateaus. And you plateau early on, remember, with the vegetables, but you will someday, if you have deep interstitial toxicity, it is possible to plateau on the fruit, and you've got to go to water fasting. Look at the difference. I mean, do a 10-day a 10-day grape fast, a 10-day lemon juice fast, and then finish it off with a 10-day water fast. Break it on fruit only, and take about 2 or 3 days to break it on fruit. But and see the difference. You know, you're only going to be able to know the difference when you try it, and try it on yourself, because that's really the bottom line. People can talk about theories and ideas in books, but when you're in actual practice or you're involved, you're wearing the robe. You know, you're riding the bull and wearing the robe, and that's how you learn, and that's how you know. You know, you always want to talk to people that have walked the walk and say, hey, you know, how'd you do? What can I experience? Things like this. But you want to get on that ride and ride the ride. It's a fun ride. It's a ride that sometimes are not so fun, but still, you feel lighter, you feel thinner, you are thinner, you feel more awake, you're more aware because the mind quiets down, the chattering of the nervous system quiets down, the spasticities of the body quiet down, the irritation of acids go away. It's just a peace, quieting, loving experience. This is why most of your spiritual people do it. It increases spirituality, which is sensitivity to all things and a recognition that all things are connected. Here's an interesting one I thought would read. Shannon gave me this one, and it says, I am helping a woman with no colon and only parts of her small intestine left. Do you know where Morse has spoken of this? Sounds like an Amish guy. That's how Amish talk. Last name, Morse. Yeah. I will do my best for her. She is in so much pain and heavily medicated for pain, but very motivated. Sounds like a nice lady. Poor thing. God. And this is where, you know, the sad thing about this, guys, is this is where man's headed. The colons are so bad today. That is a natural focus of Wellville, is the GI tract. That is, Jensen wrote books on the colon. I mean, you can go way back and show the people that talked about the health of the GI tract, way before the thought even about the kidneys. And that's because a lot of the material that man consumes damages the colon. Plenty of studies to show that meat damages and creates or are associated with GI tract cancer. 30-year study last year. So, I mean, there's so many studies, it's hard to ignore that sort of thing. But again, not enough attention on the urinary tract, the kidneys and bladder. Remember I told you the lady that was in here a few years ago about deterioration of her bladder. Her bladder, she was peeing out parts of her bladder, and she had been on the Atkins diet for 5 years. Yeah, broke down her bladder. And yet they're back again. You know, some things just have a hard time dying. Although you notice the Atkins people put a lot of fruits and veggies around the meat, around the high protein. But a wrong way of thinking. Protein consumption is the wrong way of thinking. Remember, the body cannot use proteins. Now, I will do my best to help her. I am wondering about the stomach and bowel formulas in the GI broom. In a case like that, maybe a topic for a video, as there sadly are many that has had their colons out. Ouch. Yeah, I don't know who this is, but it is an owie. You know, it's just sad, but this is what's going on. And you know, partial resections have been going on for a long time, and this is part of the problem. The GI tract is a mess in people. The white flour products are nothing but gluten's nothing but glue. Even it's a protein, but it's a glue. Remember I told you they still use white flour paste in China to put these beautiful fans together. In Portugal, they told me they've laid cobblestone streets with white flour. A man from Jamaica told me he's put soles on shoes. I've had all kinds of stories through the years, you know, what you could do with white flour. We, in school, of course, we made paper mache, hard objects, and we're consuming tons of white flour. I'm amazed that we even sell white bread. I'm amazed that companies even make it. And two, I'm amazed all our health people don't talk out about it. You know, when the American Dietetics Association, that's a sad thing. When you get some group like this that obviously is riddled with unawareness and stupidity that would suggest that you have dairy products after 2 years of old, they're not in sync with what their medical doctors teach, that the body can't use milk after 2 years old. You lose the enzymes, and yet here's the American Dietetics Association claiming you got to have it, and you can't even digest it. And it's another animal's milk that weighs considerably different than man and has a much different muscle structure. A totally different animal, and yet we have our health people there making these type of claims. That's why they're at best a joke. You know, and that's a problem is that kind of joke infiltrates the nursing homes and the school lunches and the hospital lunches. It's no wonder no one comes out of nursing homes. You know, we could clear most nursing homes. Now, I know a lot of kids aren't going to like that and stuff like that, but we could definitely reduce the population of nursing homes by 3/4. But nobody cares. You know, and I've, worked with a lot of this for years, and told you about the guy I pulled out. Wife and son came to me, and I think he was in his 70s, and he was in a nursing home, hadn't talked in 2 years, had a feeding tube in him, and all kinds of things. They wanted to know if anything I could do. So they talked to the medical doctor, everything was on board. So that was in May or June. At Christmas, he was home playing and talking with his grandkids. That is the kind of power that we're all playing with. Oh, okay, I want to go back on this one. First of all, she hasn't got much left in terms of intestines. She only has a small bowel. Thank God that most absorption of nutrients are in the small bowel. But can you guess she's already had this removed? So if I said malabsorption, would you all agree? I think so. So forget about absorption even in the small portion, because the only reason she lost the other one had to be the lymph system in the wall. You know, that's where you get the IBSs, the Crohn's, the swellings, the cancers, the polyps, all this kind of crap like that. You don't waste your time with a colon, you already know. So these are some of the things. A person like this should be on a nice fruit and berry and melon diet. And here again, I'm going to pull you into this level of thinking, because these are the foods that are the easiest to digest. They keep their self-cleansers. They clean as they feed. How cool is that? So there's just so much to why when you get older, when you're younger. Matter of fact, all the time, there's no reason why not to eat fruits, berries, and melons unless you can't get them ripe and you're in a position where they're just not available. Then you got to go to the veggies. But you want to take that easy. I would do stomach and bowel at first. And there's going to be no stool, so you're only going to do number 1 because there's no movement needed. I mean, this is all going to be liquid stuff. So a stomach and bowel number 1. Would be advisable. I would also do a lymphatic capsule, a lymphatic 1 capsule to help draw and maybe get some interstitial pulling of what Paul got here with the unusual mucus globs. Common to see unusual stuff, and also, ladies, vaginally, very common to see unusual, weird-looking stuff when you do the douching with the Heal-All tea. And I mean, when you get that out of you, you just feel better. And it just, when you start seeing this coming out of you, you start realizing the reality of this channel and why we're telling you these things and just what you're going to experience and how well you're going to feel. We're not lying to you. We're taking you down the road to Wellville. And these kind of stuff that comes out of you, you're going to see all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I don't know about the GI broom on this lady yet. Pretty aggressive, although it's just what she needs. I would say this. I would say probably do her for about a month that way with the stomach and bowel number 1, the lymphatic capsules. Then you're going to go with the tinctures and try to get as much going. You're going after those kidneys. Remember, you got to always go after the kidneys and adrenal glands. Why? This is a colon problem. What really problem is this? A lymphatic problem. The colon was just the effect. The poor thing got chewed up. No, this is a lymphatic problem. See, you got to always remember which problem it is you're facing, and since it's just a bunch of cells and two fluids, and you have two types of elimination, digestive and cellular, and you have two basically eliminative areas. The kidneys, including the skin, that's cellular waste, and then you have the colon, digestive waste. This concept that the body reuses all cellular waste, that's idiotic. That's impossible. So, important to work with this lady. I'd go right into the kidneys, the adrenal glands. She's going to need that post-surgery anyway. Pop those adrenal glands out. She needs a neurotransmitter. She needs the steroids. At the same time, you want to get filtration going, because what she has left, you want to fix it. Because obviously, she's involved systemically. That means she's involved all the way up the esophagus and probably in the brain as well. So detoxing this person is important. And don't let a little bit of colon removal stop you. You know, she's got bags. You got to do that. She can save the rest of her body and get healthy and stay alive and enjoy what her journey is. And when she's done, she can go on to her next journey. And she's conquered a lot and grown spiritually from this experience, you know. But sad cases, you know. But you're going to see, like I don't have a name on this one, but this is what you're seeing. Resections are common, but whole colon removals are starting to become more and more common. You know, I saw this thing on the news last night, and it's you know, where they're using this powder, and they regrew this guy's end of his finger with this genetic powder they're coming up with cells and everything. You know, I'm very impressed with that. I thought that was pretty cool stuff. It'd be interesting on a case like this someday. It couldn't grow her a new colon. The problem with this sort of thinking, though, it takes you away from self-responsibility. You know, if I lose my liver, they'll just grow me a new one. I just don't get into that kind of thinking. I think the real essential understanding is that you rebuild the one you have. There's not enough understanding that you can rebuild what you have, and that's important. Except, you know, when you have limbs removed, and the question to this doc was, what about amputated limbs? And he says, you know, theoretically it's possible. You want me to read this one?
Yeah, 3 of them.
Oh, 3 of them. Okay. Okay. Oh, good. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. All right. So, I mean, cool stuff in that way, but we have to enter in as the spiritual people. We have to enter in the regeneration of our own tissue. And not get into this lackadaisical or this lack of responsibility of eating and taking care of the human machine. But it's the same way in the emotional machine and the mental machine. And we have to realize these are just machines that we use. Very important. You know, I've been talking a lot about the mind, and some people get it and some people don't. But it's easy when you understand that thought and the mind is an instrument that you use. It isn't who you are. Remember in Christianity, the serpent in the garden, and the serpent wanted Adam to take a bite of the apple, which came from the tree of knowledge. Now, that they were depicting knowledge as an evil aspect of spirituality. Why? The mind. You know, that's the thing. Once the mind starts and you're unfamiliar with the control of that instrument, it controls you. And that's why, if you look through religions and spiritual teachings, you'll see all the answers as we're discussing here. You just have to be able to look and see, and it's right there. And the Bible right there is telling people that if you use your mind, you're biting from the apple of the tree of knowledge, which means that's the negative side of life. That's the side that loses yourself. And basically what that little analogy is saying, that if you start using your mind too much and it gains control of your consciousness, you're lost. You forget who you are. And so you come off your spirituality, you come out of off the Godhead, and you forget who you are. Now you're playing in the field of dreams, which is duality, positive and negative, good and bad, that whole scenario there. So when you look around, you'll see that I'm not the only one that talks about that. Jesus, Buddha all talked about the excessive use of the mind. And these are the things you have to be careful with, because it isn't you. Thoughts are not you. Thoughts are things. And awareness is you. And so you just keep developing that. Learn how to keep that mind quiet, and you just learn how to do these things. All right, let me read this one here. I hope that was enough for the colon removal. Sad stuff in today's world. You know, but with man, and the point is man's genetics and his tissues are so down. This is why this site is full of teenagers and 20-year-olds that are suffering. I don't know how old this lady is, but imagine say she's in her 60s or 50s. She's probably has, if it's a female, that's a female, and she's probably has kids. What condition do you think their colons are in? If I were her kids, and if I was her after understanding this, I would have a meeting with the minds, the minds of my souls that are inhabiting, the children I brought in. And I would say, you guys are in trouble. I didn't know any better. You guys got to fix your colons up before you lose them. To fix the colon up, what do you have to fix up? Your lymphatic system, kidneys, all that. Even though they're separate tissues, they're directly in line and responsible for the bowels as well. Changing the diet is definitely going to change the impact to the colon in terms of what's coming down the tube and the influence on the mucosa and the tissue that way, and the types of materials that are halfway absorbed, that sort of thing. This is not the time to put proteins in a body like this, and I'm sure that's what her medical doctors told her, to go on a high-protein diet. You put this lady on a high-protein diet, you might as well kiss her goodbye. It's a matter of time. This is Debbie. Hey, Debbie. Thanks, Jennifer, for replying so quickly today to my question. Let me see. Couldn't find the doctor's video on YouTube, too. Can number talk about snoring? Oh, snoring. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you guys. Do you know a really good match for Doc who says IVs with vitamin C? Who is really good matches? My cousin, who is on my father's side of family, Leslie Mills, registered nurse, he says every day draws blood and does IVs. Can you please teach him, please, so you can help his dad, who is smart, is very sick in Broad and Care Hospital in Santa Cruz, California. May need to transfer him out to better place. Please ask for him for his dad and many others. Hurry it up. You know what? I'm sorry, but I did not understand here, Debbie, what you're saying. Kind of chopped up here. So I have to say that here is... all right, here's a good match for Doc who does IVs with vitamin C. Yeah, I don't know too much what's being stated here, but I'll say this. I don't recommend vitamin C IV therapies. I mean, you remember that it's antagonistic to calcium. We're seeing extreme hardening of the arteries from this. You got to be careful how you're treating yourself. We don't treat, so we don't have to worry about it. But for those of you that choose to treat, be careful how you treat, because you might wake up with something much more difficult to deal with. Extreme hardening of the arteries systemically would be very, very serious. You have to be very careful. And you don't want vitamin C ascorbic acid treatments. You want flavonoid treatments. If you're going to do any treatments, get the whole complex in there. But why? You got it all heavily in fruits and berries and melons, but particularly in fruits and berries. Why not make a diet full of that? If that's what you're trying to supplement, why not just eat it? Because then it goes through it, all the tissues get kissed by it. You see what I'm saying? So, I don't know the condition of this person. I don't know what's going on with this person. Snoring, that wouldn't have anything to do with IVs and vitamin C and all that. But snoring, of course, is just congestion. And the next thing is sleep apnea. All those things are congestive, detox, clean the mucus out of the sinuses, throat, bronchi, voice box, you're good, no problem. That's an easy thing to deal with. A lot easier than having your colon removed. Snoring, piece of cake. I don't understand what this other side... my cousin is on the side. I don't know what you're saying. So, Debbie, send it to me differently, maybe? Oh, the same one here. Wait a minute. Debbie, here's Debbie again. What is the best water filter on whole house system? I have no clue. You know what? There's so many of them nowadays. I get the yoga book, GIAM or whatever they call it, GIAM. It has some water filters in there. I bought air filters from them before. I don't know. You know, there's so many. I don't know. I use a whole house RO system on my house. The fear, of course, is the water's so void, like distilled, that you could leach some of your copper into it in the copper portion of your pipes. And if there's any leaching on PVC, it's possible. So, you know, the problem in running a completely void water, because you just, you know, you have osmosis, you have all kinds of things going on that void is being seek to fill. You know, the universe doesn't like voids. Do you like alkaline water ionizers? No. Which one do you buy? No. What would recommend in a person in fixed income, Social Security, disability like myself, $800 a month? I'd find me a real cheap RO system for under the counter, probably, and then get some colloidal minerals, which is some liquid minerals, and dump in them, or find you some good economical mountain water. Spring water, natural spring water, where the earth is that's loved on it and kissed it for a while, then you can drink it. Jennifer Drew, would you know how I can make extra money working on? Why did you guys give me this one? Let me see then. The issue with Ambassador Stevens, no way voting for Hillary. Could she be controlled mind? No. Easy. Easy. You know, anybody that would turn around and vote for Hillary, you guys got to be taking some more fruit down here. This is Debbie, too. Oh, here's one that we could read. This one's, you want to get me going, don't you, Debbie? You're going to get mine. It's too early to get me going. I'm going to put this over for later. Debbie, that's too early to get me going. You know how I feel about governments and things. I just don't like crooked people. I don't like liars. I don't like thieves. I don't like crooked people. Because somebody gets hurt all the time from this. And there's no need. You know, I could go back to King Arthur's days, you know. When the king knows how to treat the populace, everybody's happy. And they accept the king. Not so when the king gets corrupt. What to do for colicky babies? Does enemas to relieve the pressure and constipation if that is the problem? Well, that or get you a little stomach and bowel number 2 and take a little out of the capsule and put it in a little applesauce, depending how old the baby's is, or mix it in with the milk. No. Get this baby away from milky products. You know, he's not digesting well. Obviously, he's getting colicky from that, gas from that. That's hepatic, liver, pancreatic problems. But it's probably more the milk or formulas this baby's on. And by the way, some of the mothers that are trying to breastfeed are so toxic that babies are refusing even breast milk in humans. Interesting, isn't it? So this is another reason why mamas have got to detox and clean their body up before they nurse feed their babies. And all of these things are important to do, because I see this all the time, I hear it from mothers all the time, that babies are rejecting natural breast milk. You see it a lot. There were some Honduran physicians up one time in my office, and they were complaining that the group called CARES, and which I'll never donate, CARES, C-A-R-E-S, I see them all the time, went to the Honduras and talked the Honduran women into using formulas instead of breastfeeding. And I had 2 physicians, medical doctors in here bitching about it, saying that now all the babies are full of colicky, mucousy, congestive problems. Cold and flu symptoms are all over the place. Yeah, so what business did this group called CARES ever think they had in trying to get women away from God's natural things? And that's probably because there could be a Christian movement there. Who knows? Not to be down on the Christians, but there's some facets of the Christians that think all of that's bad. I mean, there's all levels of nuts out there that think that natural things are bad. I just find this is a very low level, definitely. But you want to, I don't know how old this baby is. When you're referencing babies and stuff, give me some ages so I can give you some ideas, how we deal with babies. But get them onto the fruits or get them onto coconut milk. I would try to get some applesauce, some ground up grapes. Depends on the age of the baby, what we're dealing with here. But I can tell you right now, this baby's got to get away from the milky formulas and everything else this baby's been on, because that's a quickest way to give your babies tumors and cancers and fill their bodies full of mucus. Used to be it just filled us full of mucus. Now, babies are so weak genetically in their kidneys that's forming tumors in them. So we can't no longer just give milk and formulas to babies. And with the babies now being more compromised in the liver, in the hepatic areas, and in the pancreatic areas, they can't hardly digest milk anymore. It's almost from mom to fruit. It's almost that quick now. It's just because of the weaknesses that these babies now are having. So you parents that are doing, I love you guys. You guys are the future here on this planet, raising your babies raw and getting their genetics worked out of them and stuff. It's just, you guys are the cream of the crop. And you guys are why this earth can exist down the road. If okay, what temperature to use? Enemas. You can enema, baby, but tell you the truth, you use coconut milk and fruits and stuff, you'll never have a bowel problem. You'll never have to worry about that. But if you need to get that baby open, you can do a little enema, but you can also use a little stomach and bowel number 2, a little bit in there, and put it in some juice or something like that. Absolutely. Babies are people. I do not have whole house filter system. It's too expensive and cannot afford it. Well, you just find yourself, I don't know, just research. That's all I know. Get online, get the Consumer Reports, see what Consumer Reports has. Some of Consumer Reports, okay, some I disagree. But, Consumer Reports, pretty good. So see what they come up with for you. Can you help me find baby formula that's better than store-bought? Yeah, I've got one. God, my baby formula is that close to coming out, guys. It's called Mother's Milk by Nature. And I'm so close to having it out, but I've just been so busy. I'm just trying. My problem with this Mother's Milk by Nature, which is for infants, you can actually take it all the way up to your senior. The problem I'm having is it's too strong. It's too nutritive. I don't want to create gorillas. So I'm trying to back it up nutritionally. That's the problem. It's way too nutritional. It's funny that would be a problem, but it is a problem. So you have to be careful. There's a lot of superfoods out there, and you start mixing all these superfoods, you have some very powerful stuff going on. And not always necessary to have more. More isn't always better in our lives. I prefer the less. I'm not a materialist, so I like less materiality. I like to live in RVs. I don't like to own stuff. As far as I'm concerned about a baby formula, if this baby is over 3 or 4 months old, you want to start getting fruit juices got down them, fresh fruit juices, and whatever you're doing with formulas, stop and get into the coconut milks, and you can find them everywhere. Right now, it's very popular everywhere. Coconut water is literally everywhere. So it's just coming more and more and more, and that's what I would do. My daughter has new baby about 7 months. When my daughter was born, only breastfed for 1 month. My daughter did not take to store-bought baby formulas at all. No, and most babies don't anymore. Too high a protein, too high a fat. That's what medical doctors think. High fat, high protein. It's the opposite. You don't want high fat, high protein formulas. Don't need it. Doesn't need it for growth. No. Baby gorillas grow quite well. Just on the fruits and stuff, or orangutans, they go quite well. You don't have to cram this stuff and become colicky. I think, wrong formula, breastfeeding. Like I said, babies are refusing it because of the toxicity of the mother. Too acidic. The milks are acidic. Of course, the milks are acidic anyway. If you pasteurize them, that's the problem. Milk is supposed to be base chemistry, not acid chemistry, and that's the problem with pasteurized milk. You convert it and make it high protein. You destroy the water solubles out of there, so nothing is there to help you keep it base. So it becomes acidic, and so whenever you have acid milks, you're going to get a lot of extra mucus from it, not just the regular milk that should be alkaline there. And on crying one day when her father came home, that's when she began to cry for an hour or so, kind of hard. I didn't think to call the doc at the pre-birth classes. No mention anything about if the baby becomes distressed and crying, what to do. Well, you got to get it on the fruits and the coconut milks, which will quiet it and settle it down. You know, it's probably got a lot of acidosis going, irritation in the stomach, gas and bloating, who knows. So what you feed a baby keeps them quiet and awake and peaceful, or it gives them rowdy and neurologically, bouncing all over the place, or colicky. These are all acid, mucus-forming foods, proteins that are foreign to the human bodies. Change the diet, and it's a radical change in the personality and the effect upon that little baby's body. It would be kind of you both to find something better out there than the regular baby formulas. Well, I got one coming, but shipped to coconut milk. Plenty of nutrition, let me tell you. You're going to create, with the coconut milks and fruit juices, you can create little gorillas. So just remember that. We have to change what we're feeding our babies. These are frugivores. We are frugivores. What should a mother do for keeping up breast milk from drying up or getting more breast milk? Well, fenugreek is good for promoting breast milk. I think the female reproductive formula would be excellent for that, maybe. But fenugreek, I forget, there's several herbs out there that are great. Rosemary might even be helpful in that production of mother's milk. At the same time, you want a raw food diet, Mom. If you're on a standard diet, eating meats and grains and nuts and all this stuff, and you're trying to breastfeed your baby's not going to want your milk. This is the problem, the quality of mother's milk. And so moms and babies have to get healthy today, moms and babies. What should a mother do for keeping, does your office have them? Yeah, we have herbs. Please, and how long should babies be breastfed? My personal feeling, to tell you the truth, medical doctors say 2 years. I disagree with that. I think that these babies today, and they're ready, I think that with the genetics and everything like it is, I think breastfeeding should be no more than 6 months or so. I really do. I mean, when your babies start being fed and you start seeing how big and strong and how quick they're going towards the fruits and stuff, it's amazing. Some of the things we think are not what it should be. So it's amazing how quick. I know my grandson, he's only 2 years now, he was doing coconut milk all along here, but he was getting fruits and fruit juices at 3 months old. And he was putting round pegs in round holes at 3 and 4 months old. I mean, it's like, whoa. I mean, this guy's a warrior dude. That's the problem. So I don't know. Treat a baby like an adult, but early on, you don't want to overmilk your babies. That's all I'm got to say. You don't want to overmilk them. I would say 6 months at the most. Get them on coconut milk if you can't breastfeed. And even if you can, don't over breastfeed your babies. You'll see how quick these babies are coming into the fruits and just going nuts over them. When your baby's walking around eating a banana, you've done a good job, because that banana, remember, according to the 3-doctor professor that runs a university in Canada, nature's perfect food. So when your kid's sitting there eating on a banana, he's eating on gorilla food. You're talking about food that's going to make your baby strong and mentally way out there. So these are the foods we need to feed our children. You know what the problem's going to be? The problem is going to be is how are these schools going to deal with these higher souls? That's going to be the problem. They're already fighting some of these higher souls because they're entering college before they're sophomores in high school. These kids are so smart that the teachers are having a hard time satisfying their growth needs in education. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. The future of the superior races. You go back and you look at Hitler and his thought of superior race and genetically modifying races, stuff like that. No. You do that all naturally. That should be a natural move of nature, that it strengthens itself. It eliminates the weaknesses and continues to strengthen itself, just like nature's doing. You have untold species, different colors, different shapes. New species always form. But within all this matrix, the weak are consumed and eliminated, and the strong survive. This is true at the cellular level. This is true at the entire physical body level. This is true at all levels. The weak are consumed. So there's two things that make quite sense when you're talking about health. First, clean the body out of all the acids and mucus, the inflammation stuff, which is the acids and proteins. Clean out all the tumors, all these blobs and globs and stuff like this, and strengthen the cells that comprise the human body. Those two simple philosophies will take you into a Wellville station like you've never been taken. Might be a process, but you're got, and rest assured you're pulling in home. And the bonus, you get to grow spiritually. You get to open and grow. If you're willing to ride the ride, all the spiritual beings are here. It is time, and you just take it off and grow, baby. It's perfect time for that. This is a Silva. Let's see here. I am asthma patient, and I'm starting now to eliminate all the dairy products from the diet. Absolutely. Should have done that years and years ago, but probably nobody told you, man. I'm telling you, it's sad stuff. But I read that eggs are really healthy and not like most people say, part of the dairy products, so I eat them every day. You know what? Go have an egg throwing contest with your neighbors. Not so. I mean, like I said, I've been guilty of using raw eggs in the past, non-fertile organic eggs when I have extremely depleted cases. But I tell you, eggs aren't good for you any more than any other protein is good for you, so back away from that as well. Eggs are extreme on the constipating list. I don't know which is worse, constipating, milk or eggs. They're both extremely constipating foods. Would think you ought to back away from the egg syndrome. And get away from these kind of proteins and things, animalistic, putrefactive type material. You know, we have a long enough bowel and a ringed GI tract that any putrefactive material does not do well in the human body. And just like animals, it makes animals sick to have putrefaction stuck in the bowels, and it makes us sick. And it's just not a good thing to have. So I disagree with any animal products in terms of needing them for the health. We're a species that does not need to eat other species. We don't need to eat animals. We don't need to eat their eggs. We don't need all that because we're such an evolved species. The mind is still wallowing in the pig slop. And that's why we have to. You guys are the saviors in terms of bringing about this higher awareness to this world because, we just got to get out of thinking of animals to eat or their eggs or their milks. Yeah, if you want a glass of milk, go wrestle a female gorilla. That'd be the closest to your body type of milk for you. But good luck. It would be a problem. Hello, my name is Nubia Davis. I currently have a degree in culinary arts. However, I'm writing to you because I am in need of help to find a school to become a natural pathologist or health coach. I don't know of a pathologist, but maybe you're talking about path meaning pathway spiritualist, something like that, and a health coach. I think you guys, what's in it seems to be as personal health coaches, and I think that you guys will do extremely well as a health coach. You're so much more than a health coach. You guys know how to take someone from Hellville that is dying and pull them out of that and rebuild them. That's how good you guys are getting, and that don't ever lose that sight. Be humble always. But know that you hold the answers and the truth to life here in terms of getting to Wellville, and hold on to that. Don't try to wander with it too much, because wandering only loses yourself again. You'll find your way back. But health coaches is a good idea. Health counselors is a good idea. Detoxification specialists are good. People are starting to learn more about detoxification and the value thereof, and the essential need thereof. For as long as I can remember, I've been conscious of the food I eat, but I see that there is more for me to learn. Before watching your videos, I refused to take pills, even after major surgery I had, in which I regret, but life continues. Yeah, life continues. All you can say is just a body anyway. It's not you. It's just your body, right? And you have to look at it that way. When you have your colons removed and everything else, you don't let go. You know, it's just a body. You're just using it. You, that's what's important. The God self. After becoming sick, I had learned the power of fruits and vegetables, as well as how to fix minor problems in my health. With the small amount of knowledge I have in this area, I've helped others as well. Well, this is a spiritual person. All you guys that have the love and that are helping others, that's the key. I'm in love with life and would like to make life better for myself, family, and anyone that comes my way. In order for me to accomplish my goal, I would like some help to further develop my knowledge. Thank you for your time. Well, thank you, Nubia. Is that right? You know what? I don't know of any schools that teaches this level of thinking. We have a university up the way here, and I'm on the board, although I never go to board meetings, so I don't know. They kicked me off, maybe. But I just am not in line with the academic education right now, even in the natural health schools. My sister went to a naturopathic school, and she went to Southern Naturopathic College. And they had textbooks from Dr. Wild and other medical doctors. And I told my sister to get on the horn to the president and fill his earful, because this is a naturopathic school, not a medical school. And I'm adamant about when you go to a naturopathic school, that's what you learn. You're not going to medical school. You're not learning to treat diseases. You're learning to get away from that whole idea. That whole concept is idiotic. You're learning the truth. You're learning true physics, true chemistry. But that's not being taught in naturopathic schools. That's the problem. You're taught about the body, A and P. You have some minor surgeries in some schools, but then you have the bull crap. You have the symptomology. Then you have the whole medical thinking of diseases. And then you have, as opposed to the treatment with pharmaceuticals, you have the treatment basically with vitamins and minerals, supplements, and all that crap. You don't have, how do you rebuild tissue? How do you resurrect the dying? You don't have any of that anymore. That stuff is getting lost. Well, it was. Till when? Till you guys took it on, and you beautiful souls on Facebook, and all you guys out there helping others, you are the physicians of the future. Medical people are going to die away if they don't change, because as man wakens, going to be a little bit of anger, and I don't want to be in that way. When man realizes exactly what's been going on, that these docs have been allowed to use killer drugs. Allowed to. Go ahead, we don't care if it kills X amount of people. It's for the good of the whole. Well, it's for the good of thinning out population. World Health Organization. That sort of thinking. Yeah, well, so you guys are the future physicians. And the future physicians will not spend 10 years in med school. They will have gotten themselves into the mix of detoxification and fasting, learned about the botanicals. These will be herbalists that combine the use of botanicals with the use of raw foods. And with those two combinations, there's nothing. Look at Hildy. Look at the people that were curled and gnarled and now opening up and getting healthy. That's powerful. That's impressive. That's God. And that's what we're here to teach. That's what you all are doing. It's such a beautiful job. I can't even say enough good things to you guys, to tell you the truth. I'm proud of each and every one of you. And you're doing just what it takes. Everybody has to come to this trough and drink sometime or another. Or they pass on and get another body and blah, 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 blah. But there's got to be a time of resurrection, a time of cleansing and rebuilding. Kind of a resurrection. Question for Doc about thyroid and pituitary glandulars. Hi, Doc. Firstly, thank you for your amazing... Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Who am I talking to here? Oh. I am Aravinth. Arvinith? I am love. I like that one. So, this is love. I know, to be pure love, what an intensity. I'm truly grateful. Maybe on another plane I can give something back. Oh, no, you can give back wherever you are. I like this, a very spiritual person here. You are what you eat 247. That's my question is about using pituitary glandular. I will use the ones from New Zealand that you recommend. I've used this brand before with few people with great success. Yeah, I think it's definitely a stronger brand than what we have in the States. And since most, not all, but since most of the glandular companies won't guarantee organics, and we don't have in place humane laws, it's questionable. It's just sad what happens to big companies when they get big. And this is never. But who allows that to take place? It's just it's sad. Some of these glandular companies, like Royal Lee's company, years ago touted them. They had their own farms. They raised their own vegetables. They had their organic beef. Now they don't guarantee nothing. And very common, standard process. Very common name. But I don't like their formulas anymore. I don't like, if you're going to make glandulars, then put herbs in them. Or just make glandulars. Don't put a lot of other crap in there that other practitioners don't want to use. And that's the problem. The problem is getting pure formulas out there that you don't make. That's why I make so many of them. Because there's nothing out there. If you want something for the spleen, where do you get it? If you want something for, we have something for internal bleeding, antispasmodics. Then we have tissue-specific herbal formulas for everything in the body you're going after, specifically for that tissue. And that's what nature's good for. So these herbs are specifics, and they love that. And it's time we rejoice in that. If a 60-year-old lady with very weak pituitary gland wanted to use the glandular, could she also take the thyroid glandular at the same time? Now, this is a good question, and this is good for you Facebook people as well, all you healers out there, as far as I'm concerned. The pituitary gland itself is not very big, about the size of that clipper, but it's hooked into the hypothalamus area of the brain, so you have the whole central nervous system at its disposal, basically. So I don't hit the pituitary very hard. I do 1-in-1 capsule in the pituitary range. I have put them with a thyroid, and I have put them with a parathyroid. I'm more apt to put pituitary with a parathyroid and kelp for about 2 bottles and then come off. Then I put them on the thyroid for about 2 bottles, about 150 milligrams first, and come off. You can put them on all of them, and let me tell you, these glandulars are strong. So one thing, when they get their blood results back, and let's say you put someone on a pituitary glandular, it's possible that it'll soar TSH. Don't let medical doctors freak out if something like that happens to you. Just pull them off the glandulars. You pull them off the glandulars, and then their TSHs or T4s or whatever go right down to normal. It's no big deal. But medical doctors literally freak at that sort of thing. But I had a lady the other day, she's been on the pituitary glandular for 2 or 3 bottles, and her TSH went from 1 to 3, which wasn't a very big jump. Better, much better, because you want about 3. You don't want 1 or below 1 in TSHs. And she had, which was good, 3.2 or 3.5 or whatever, so it was much better. I've seen them soar into the thousands from just the glandular, but no symptoms to it. But cautious. The thyroid glandular, caution. Now, we have a 400 or 500 milligram one. You have to have a real cold thyroid. I use that 500 milligram when someone's had a thyroidectomy and I want to try to inspire the thyroid to grow back. Then I'm going to use a real strong glandular. Outside of that, the thyroid, you can go back to the 150 real easy and do 1 TID 3 times a day. So thyroid glandular would be fine. You could mix them, but if you mix a pituitary and a thyroid, just do one muscle test them first, and then just do 1 bottle of each one and check for symptoms. That sort of thing. Because, when your heart starts racing, it's too much thyroid. Too much adrenal gives you a little jitteriness, but I'm telling you, I haven't seen too many people that couldn't handle a ton of the 400 milligram ones. The adrenals, you can hit those babies and hit those babies. They're so down in people, you know, it's hard to make them overactive, but the thyroid can, you know, sensitive in that way. Her thyroid is also weak. Now, the question is her thyroid weak because she has a pituitary problem and it's a TSH problem, or does she have both weaknesses? Only the eyes will show you that. And look at her blood work and look at her TSHs and T3s and just see how they look. But I would say that try it for at least a bottle or 2 bottles, come off and see where they are, and then put them on, say, the endocrine gland or gland tonic, and let that run for a while and see how they do. If you feel like it's still very low, the pituitary, hit them again, you know, and work with that. But go easier on these glands. The pituitary in particular, you don't need to go hog wild with that one, and the thyroid, you really don't need to go hog wild with that. Most of the time, getting the mucus out of the throat and the voice box and all that gets it out of the thyroid, and the thyroid goes up. Remember to always work on the colon, though, when you're working in pituitaries. Remember that. Just remember the link of the colon and all of the whole body, but particularly the transverse bowel and the head area. This is real important to work on the colon, which is you're going to be working on all of it anyway. You're going to be working on the whole GI tract. Can't just work on the colon, but, you know, it's just how you say those things. But the pituitary seems to be the weakest gland. You could hit the pituitary 1 and 1, hit her parathyroid 1 bottle, 3 times a day, which is called TID, and then a little kelp with that too, and do that, run that for a couple of bottles, and then see where her thyroid basals are, see how she's doing, and then hit her on the thyroid. You can do that too. You want to check her underarm temperatures and see where she's at. If she has a real cold body, you know, she's in the 95s, low 96s, she can take some thyroid power. For about 15 months. She has been detoxing for about 15 months, huh? She has been pretty much 100% raw. Wow, fruit seed veggies in cold winter time. Boy, this guy's doing good. You guys are doing good. She has taken your GI broom a few times. She has also been on the herbs a few times. A total of about 8 weeks of herbs. The herbs used were your detox. Oh, wow, 1 and 2, few alternations. She has been daily meditation. Well, this is a good woman. Doing breathing exercises and yoga. Also, when possible, she is a real star, and it's a pleasure to know. Absolutely. Isn't this great? And the glanders, she can give the glands the extra boost they need. Absolutely. She used to take medication for arthritis, cholesterol. Okay, so here's the story with her right here. She used to take medication for arthritis. So what's arthritis? Systemic acidosis. What's systemic acidosis? Kidneys failing to filter. Cholesterol. Adrenals down. Adrenals sit on top of kidneys, shut kidneys down from filtering. So adrenal steroids are low, therefore the body's using cholesterol because the body is overacidic. Arthritis shows you that the body's overacidic, and therefore her body was using the cholesterol instead of the adrenal steroids. High BP. Kidney and adrenals, right back to that doorway again. And diabetes, right back to the adrenal glands again. See, we're right in the same station. We haven't even got out of this train station yet. Right? So that just shows you right there. She's a kidney and adrenal person. Here's her lymph system backed up. Exactly. So you want to clean her bowels out, to get up and get the sinuses drained out of there. Absolutely. She does not need any of them anymore and has titrated herself off of them, the chemical medications. She can't get help from her medical doctors because they are not supportive. Oh, these medical doctors are not supportive of her detoxification protocols. Well, that hurts. What's wrong with the medical doctors not being in tune with her detoxification protocols? What's wrong with those guys? They better get used to it. Because most of them need it themselves. We all need it. Nobody's above another. But she is brave, and with the support of souls like yourself, she is doing just fine. You know what? Support of yourself too. You don't put yourself in there too, my friend. You're the one helping her. The only thing that is of a slight concern is the fact that her blood glucose levels are still quite high, floating around 175 to 190. All right, so let's talk about that a minute. In most hospitals, we don't give insulin till you're over 200 glucose. And then you might get 5 to 10 units. To tell you the truth, this is, I mean, you haven't designated 1 or 2, but my guess is this hyperglycemia. This is type 2, which I'm using that for words because in terms of diseases, there is no such thing. When you have what's referred to as type 2 diabetes, or hyperglycemia, it simply means you're not metabolizing your sugars properly. When you're not metabolizing your sugars properly, which gland are you going to go to? Where are you going to go to in the body to find out who should be doing this and why aren't they doing this? That doesn't seem to be a natural instinct of yours, I would think. So where are we going? Well, we're not going to the beta cells because that has nothing to do with sugar metabolism. That's insulin carrier to take inferior glucose across the cell wall. Remember where fructose doesn't need it. Anybody heard of fructose needing a insulin carrier? I never have. So, when you take a look at that, you see that she's having sugar metabolism problems. So you're only going to go one place. You're going to go to the adrenals. Now, I say that, and okay, we could go to the pituitary. It is possible. So you're working up there. You're going to be working there, okay. But I can tell you, your adrenals 9 times out of 10. So you get and remember with sugar metabolism problems, it means low steroids. Low steroids, particularly cortisol, means she's going to have cholesterol problems. Remember, when you're acidic, your body has to fight that. If acids win in your body, you lose. You have your colons removed, you have your breast cut off, you have your ovaries taken out, your prostate's taken out, your gallbladder's taken out. So when acids win, you flatly lose. It's that simple. So the body doesn't like to lose. It's going to fight for you. That's its job. So there's an endless battle between the base and the acid side of chemistry. The duality of such predominates this universe, the endless world of the physical side of creation. And so, you know, you've got to address those cells that deal with the production of cortisol. Okay, so now we have cells that are down in the adrenal glands. Therefore, the body's effort to use cortisol or progesterone or to use corticosteroids to fight acids is low, because generally the body's going to pop and use a steroid, just like a medical doctor would. But wait, when the steroids are low, the body can't always jump over there. And there's so much systemic acidosis in most people that you're going to see the liver kick up production of cholesterol. The reason it is obvious not to produce more steroids, which that's needed. You know, you need cholesterol for that because cholesterol has a pathway through the adrenal steroids, but cholesterol can be used directly as an antacid. That's the worst kind of antacid because it tends to stick and stay around a while and impact and swell or herniate those walls from which they're impacted in. So, this is an easy case to understand that she has big-time adrenals down. That's why she was, and of course the kidneys weren't filtering. She might even have kidney weakness. Therefore, she wasn't moving the acids out. Therefore, the arthritises. Then, of course, the body's fighting the arthritis with the adrenals. Wait, the adrenals are down. We got to use cholesterol, so her cholesterol went up. Of course, now that the kidneys are losing and full of inflammation as well, now her blood pressure starts to go up. Her sugar metabolism off because the adrenal glands are off. So she can't metabolize her sugars. So even if you put this person on raw food, she could still have some sugar metabolism problems. Okay, it's simple sugar. It's the best she's going to do, and I wouldn't worry the small stuff. We have healthy glucose. It'll help you with controlling the blood sugars. But in reality, getting the adrenals healthy, done, over with. Okay, so she needs this anyway. This is exactly part of the matrix of what she needs to get well with everything else. So check the filtration. Remember, filter, filter, filter from the kidneys. Remember Jermaine's little prop. Perfect prop. Thanks, Jermaine. Now, let's see where we are. She can't get help from her medical doctors because they don't support her, you know. Too bad, isn't it? The only thing, because I respect a good medical doctor, they need to respect a good detoxification specialist. We need to respect each other in our arts. I don't respect people that hurt people, though. I'll be honest with you. The only thing that is of a slight concern is the fact that, okay, her blood sugar, 175 to 190. Get on raw foods. It'll bring that down as close as possible. Keep working on the adrenals, and it'll keep coming down. Generally, when you're up that high, before you get into insulin, you're either on metformin or some other glycoside or some kind of pill form. And, you know, but if she gets right on a raw food diet, that should pull that down. Even if she had steamed vegetables and stuff, it should keep that blood sugar down. Protein is going to make the blood pressure go up, and this case should not be on protein. None of them are. She has gone many days eating only mono fruits, watermelon, grapes, etc., but the sugar still hasn't leveled out, even though her kidneys have started to filter. Excellent. But this is the adrenal weakness. Keep working on the adrenals. Don't sweat the small stuff. Get the adrenal glandulars. Work on the adrenal glands. Keep keeping with the small. Keep detoxifying, and her sugars will come down and in line. They might not do it like that. Okay, generally they do. But if they don't, just keep working her, and it'll come down for sure. They will have to. They will. I've never seen them not. Why would they not? Adrenals have improved in all the other gland too, but not on the pituitary. Well, it could be, you know, you could have an idea here that could be in the pituitary too, and she's only 5 foot tall, so that would pull you to her pituitary. You're right. Oh, boy, I love you guys. You know, you guys are smart, and you're putting 2 and 2 together. That is the mark of a great physician that can add 2 and 2. And you guys are all adding 2 and 2. I love you guys. Perfect. And thyroid gland here, or take them separately. I try it separately at first and see where you. I think always take the way of, or the path of least resistance, but also the path of being a little conservative a little bit first, and then kick it up. I'm more conservative, believe it or not. I go a little slower, and then I kick it up. And then you don't call me conservative anymore. I've got pedal to the metal. I'm making sure you make it through out the first gate, not going through any of the holes and anything. Oh, we're through it? Let's go. And off we go. All right? Her thyroid is so weak also, this has been established with basal temperatures. Oh, wow. And she does not sweat yet. God, you are good, man. You are what you eat. What? Yeah, I know you. I know you. My God, you guys are good. That's perfect. This person is looking at her sweating ability, her elimination through the skin, ties it perfectly to the thyroid, also tucks the thyroid to the pituitary, her size to that. I mean, this is how you analyze people. This is how you put things together here. So would you advise that she take pituitary separately at first, and then you could combine it? Also, and not a lot of pituitary. 1 bottle should be enough, 1 twice a day. That's BID. Also, when would one use your gland tonics? That after I use the glandulars, I would move her to the gland tonic. If it's affordable, you can take it with the glandulars. But if not affordable, wait till after the glandulars and then start there. Put the glandulars, make sure everything's coming up, then shift her to the tonics. Perfect way of thinking. Now, don't have any questions with them yet? Oh, good. Your time and advice? Oh, any time. You are loved, my man. Or woman. Perfect. This is Sarah. I really appreciate your first and foremost. Thank you, honey. Your approach is the only approach that has ever made sense to me, and now the puzzle pieces are coming together. Well, I like to put puzzles together. Don't you? And it's kind of fun, you know. So that's what we do. We put things together. And that's what we needed to do. So you never get fixated on one science. You don't get fixated on chemistry because it's only half-truths and theories for the most part. You don't get fixated on physics, the same thing, but you can take the best of both worlds. You can take what we at least know of both worlds, add it to the spirituality and the awareness that's coming into you. Whew, you're really going to have a good view of everything. And at least you'll be sitting in the seat of honesty and integrity and love and God. That's a good seat to be in. For 5 years, I've been dealing with increasing symptoms despite having cut out gluten and dairy. I fasted here and there, but haven't truly stuck to any one plan of action until I heard about raw foods. It's a good action to stay with, the raw foods, I found Dara on YouTube, who healed from Hashimoto's and adrenal fatigue. Then she mentioned you, and the rest is history. My symptoms, or should I say areas of weakness and lip stagnation, yeah, baby, you're getting it. Well, because it's true. You don't want to label, because labels are ridiculous and they mean nothing. They're a label. And it doesn't tell you what the reality of the fact is. This tells you the reality of the fact. Good lady here. Polychondritis, nose, ears, joints affected, swollen hands, lack of concentration, depression, lack of menstruation, 2 years now. Oh, you know how it's interesting when we get talking on a subject like pituitaries, they start coming in groups. You'll see that, and it's just, nothing's planned. We don't pre-read these. I don't have time anymore. So they just come in, and so now we're back to back with 2 pituitaries. Yeah, definitely you want to hit the pituitary there. Let me see. Pituitary tumor. Oh, yeah, I would say, maybe gone because prolactin is now normal. Well, you detox those sinuses, honey. You get in that body, you detoxify big time, okay? Real important. Back pain, IBS, of course, low blood pressure, low white blood cells, low blood sugar, candida. I could go on and on. No, I don't want you to go on and on because I don't want you to have that many problems. But here's a good case to work on Facebook here. Oh, and they thought I had Lyme's because my CD57 was so low. That low Lyme's making itself known everywhere. Okay, so let's look at this. This poor thing had a pituitary tumor. This is something you want to make sure you don't have anymore. This is the thing is you dig deep into that lymph system, but you got to clean your you got to get into your GI tract. Because here we go, that GI tract is definitely related to the brain, particularly the transverse valve portion. Remember that in iridology. So by cleaning up the bowels, by cleaning up the lymph system in the bowel walls, everything starts draining from here down. And then you get the kidneys filtering, everything's getting hydrated, everything's moving, acids are being neutralized, inflammation is backing away, and tumors are coming out. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So let's look at this. Of course, we know that to have a pituitary tumor, that her lymph system is backed up head to toe, literally. But it always is, because it's a systemic fluid. So it would make sense that she's backed up head to toe. Sad thing, though, that she's got a pituitary tumor out of this. Now, with that said, low thyroid could be just congestion, mucus in the thyroid. When you get one of these plugs out of the bowels, you might even have one in the pituitary or one in the thyroid. That's what happens. These mucus plugs can be everywhere and suppress the function of these glands. So when you cough and get this mucus out, you'll find that things start running again sometimes. Okay, so the thyroid, we can use a glandular for that, pop that up. At the same time, we're detoxifying. We know that she hasn't had a period in 2 years, so we know there's a pituitary. Could be ovaries, but you can always put her on a female reproductive program, strengthen the ovaries, strengthen the uteri. But there's a pituitary tumor here. So I can tell you, or was, so I can say that her menses is a direct relationship to the pituitary 9 times out of 10. So once you get her bowels cleaned up or get her kidneys filtering and everything's moving, she's cleaning her sinuses, everybody's going to turn on. Now you can give this case a pituitary, again, the same way, one in the morning, one in the evening on a pituitary glandular. But if she has a tumor on that gland, I would not touch the pituitary. I'd remove the tumor first. Because if you pick up the pituitary, you're going to pick up the elimination of waste from those cells in the pituitary, which is going to create more interstitial toxicity and acidosis, which means the tumor can grow. And that I'm real cautious when you're dealing with goiters, tumors, and the like around endocrine glands or any organ. If you have cysts on the liver, I'm not going to make your liver function better. I'm going to remove the cysts first. Then I'm going to make your liver function better. By removing the cysts, you're going to make your liver function better. And how do you remove the cysts off the liver? You cut the body open and you go, no, you go through the lymph system, the system that it's in. And you get the kidneys filtering and you get it out. Okay, now, she has adrenal fatigue, polychondritis, nose, ears, joints affected, swollen hands. She's swollen everywhere, inflammation head to toe, in other words. Swollen hands, lack of concentration, depression. So is the chance she just has a thyroid weakness? She has a parathyroid weakness too. Here's depression. That's parathyroid weakness. But it makes sense that if the pituitary is down, both of these thyroids and parathyroids are down. Just makes sense, because rarely is the pituitary going to be down and the thyroid that needs that TSH going to be going, I don't need that, I'm good. That's rare. So you got to get the endos up in this poor soul. Definitely, no question, the adrenals are down. Therefore, the chronic fatigues, the lack of concentration, neurological systems down, the autonomic. Now, with the tumor and all the inflammation in the brain, that alone can create brain lesions and poor memory and everything else. That's the main reason we get that. The dementias and the Alzheimer's and things like that. Lack of administration, again, pituitary tumor, get that out of there. Lower back pain, that's kidneys, obviously, right? IBS, of course, that's interstitial lymphatic constipation. That's the lymph system interstitially in the bowel wall. Probably the same reason this lady lost her whole colon. So you want to get that out of there. You've got to get your kidneys filtering above all things. I don't care. To me, that just makes common sense. So you're going to go after this with stomach and bowel formulas, but you know it's interstitial, so you're only going to have so much of an effect on that. The GI broom, if they can tolerate it, because it's going to have strong astringents, it's going to pull. When you're in a lot of pain with IBS, that could accentuate the pain. So I probably, if I had a lot of pain from Crohn's and stuff, I don't know whether I'd be doing the GI broom with a lot of pain, because that astringent powers could accentuate the pain, although it's doing its job. Now, low blood pressure, weak adrenals, low neurotransmitters, relation to fatigue, total relationship to fatigue. Most fatigue is neurological fatigue, and that is low blood pressure, low white blood cells. I don't like that one at all. So, honey, you've got to get into your bone marrow. We have formulas for the bone marrow. I'd get in and use them. I'd also clean my spleen out while I'm doing that, because the spleen, another branch off the tree. Liver, pancreas, branches off the tree. What's the tree? The GI tract. And the head of the tree sitting right on top. Got to clean it all out. You got to get all the inflammation, the acids, all this process of acidosis out of the body there. White blood cells, got to get them up. That's not what I want to hear. So that is a little more dangerous, guys. And low white blood cells, they call that leukemia. So you have to be real careful there. They call it a cancer. Having low white blood cells doesn't mean you have a cancer. Cancer is a damaged cell. But you know, medical doctors sometimes clump when they shouldn't. So, white blood cells, low white blood cells, get into your bone marrow, get into your lymph system. This is, you know, if your lymph system is this chronic, it could be breaking down your bone marrow. You want to focus and stay focused for the next year or two in digging deep in your body and getting yourself to Wellville, honey. Big time. Candida, that goes low blood sugar, adrenals again. So high or low blood sugar, flip side of the same coin, still sugar metabolism. But that's the adrenal, so that's going to make you feel tired too. You got low blood pressure making you feel tired. You have low blood sugar making you feel tired. That's all adrenal glands. And with Candida, they're going to be sucking down some sugars and fermentation. So use Parasite M, get that, get your lymph system, get this out of you. I could go on and on. Well, you did pretty good here. Lyme's, just systemic acidosis. I don't care, Lyme's, lupus, fibromyalgia, it's all systemic acidosis. Get your body cleaned out, dear one. Get your kidneys filtering, because first all you had to do is say pituitary tumor. You want to make sure that's out. I don't care what. You want to make sure that's out. No fun without a mind and a brain, and no fun. I mean, it's no fun going into seizures and things, so get that out. I feel so much better on raw. Yeah, well, you're getting there. Kick that wall up to fruits, berries, and melons. Get up there. I lived on veggies for almost a year, and the hair loss pretty much stopped. Then I took it up a notch and tried fruit and couldn't stop, but neither could the hair loss. Wow, you must have really acidosis up there. Remember, it isn't the fruit. There's nothing in fruit chemistry that makes you have hair loss. but it is aggressive. It's more powerful than vegetables. It's more stringent than vegetables. It's going to clean you deeper and better. It will always clean you deeper and better than vegetables. And anybody that doesn't think so has never lived on fruit diets and never detoxified themselves, because I've detoxified tens and tens of thousands of people. And you guys are already proving it. Hair loss, you just have to live with that. Upper circulation and brain and nerve are two things I would do on this case, let alone, and the problem with upper circulation is that pituitary tumor, but you kind of got to get better blood flow up there. I would make sure that pituitary tumor isn't there, honey, or that is my 100% focus, is the elimination of that tumor, and there's only one system that does that. Lymphatics. And get focused on that. Really tear this apart and get that out of there. That's why the hair loss. It isn't the fruit that takes off hair. There's no chemistry there to do that. Also, my gums are receding pretty badly. Well, you're so acidic, I'm surprised you have jaw bones and teeth left. I mean, you know, when you have all this going on here, you're so acidic. Don't blame changing your diet on some fruit that you're losing all this and it's a fruit doing it. No. You're extreme. This is something much deeper. Much deeper. However, my energy is up, but I still deal with blood sugar issues with waves of fatigue. I think my hormones are trying to work too, to menstruate, but no success there. Well, get into there. Get in the action. Get your body moving. Get on the herbs. Get on the glandulars. Get on the fruits and berries in the mouth. Just get energy, get activity, get chemistry going in your body. Turn everything on, hydrate everything, get the tumors out, get everything done, sweetheart. Where do I go with this? Just what I'm saying. I do need to fast. Yes, you do. And I personally, I'd be putting myself thinking about a 40-day grape fast, particularly if you think there's any of that tumor left, but you want to know. The problem is you don't want a CAT scan. So I don't know how, you can do an MRI. The thing is, you got to do dyes for a contrast. Maybe you might not need that. I don't know. You have to see which is the least invasive way to take a look at how you can tell. But I would put myself on a 40-day fast first. Of grapes or all fruit, however you wish to do that. I would also eat more. I would eat small meals more often. That takes care of your low blood sugar. Keep working on the adrenals during all this, though, and bring that up. Bring your blood pressure up. You're going to have to go on the 400 milligrams of the adrenal glandular from New Zealand, but I would probably go 2-3 times a day if you're that low. I did a 12-day grape fat, perfect, and saw improvement. Keep doing those 12 days. Keep digging, honey. I think the blood sugar pressure is what affects my mental state and energy on. But, look at them as effects. Let's go deeper. Let's go to what causes low blood sugar. Remember that, guys. Keep going back to the wall again. Don't think the blood sugar is the problem. It isn't. It's the effect. The blood pressure, it's not the cause, it's the effect. Let's go back. What tissues affect blood sugar and blood pressure? Cells and fluids. Which ones? Which cells are I having problems with? Which fluid am I having problems? Because there's nothing else there. There's not a mysterious hand out there that goes into the adrenal glands and suppresses them. It's all chemistry and physics out here and in here. Yep. I said it kills me to be in a zombie state, even on raw. Well, relax, sweetheart. You relax. You work yourself out of this. You get into your home. You get home. You get into the now. You get to where you live in truth. And there's your sukkah. Anything that happens outside of you with your bodies, with the mind, with the emotions, with your physical body, that's your bodies. You're only using those things. Those came out of genetics from families. That's how we bring human bodies here. We don't lay eggs. So you just have to you have to get into that happy place, that place of extreme bliss and ecstasy and joy, the place that no one can take you away from unless you let them. And then you work yourself through this. You let your body, at the same time, you stay separate from your body. There's nothing wrong with you. It's your bodies you're having trouble with. You fix them. Don't bring it into you. Don't bring your pain and your suffering into the house, into you. You want to keep that pure and full of love and joy, and not your bodies. I'm learning how to make the bodies healthy. We don't have a manual when we get here. So we're learning how to make these bodies healthy. Humans took some byways and pathways in the beginning developments of the Homo sapien consciousness, and we're coming out of that, I hope, but it's still a rough road. Here's the issue. I'm getting married hopefully in October this year. I've been putting it off since our engagement in August. Oh, wow, putting it off, huh? Thinking I would be healed by now. I can't wait any longer since I know moving my lymph and strengthening my weaknesses are my fast track to health. Absolutely. You're right on, sweetheart. I'll send you my iris photo for my appointment with you in March. Well, please do. I want to see that iris photo, Sarah Green, but I want to see you on another grape fast, and I want that pituitary tumor out of there before you come see me. Deal? Now, let me see here. Here's Carrie. Carrie Boyd. Love your vids. Thank you, man. Appreciate it very much. Love you. Thank you. I have learned so much. I appreciate it. I'm trying, you know. I think we're creating an incredible movement. And it's been my goal and my inspiration for years to do that because of what you see around you. It oftentimes is so bad here that we all go back in the back and have a big cry for a while. We have a crying room because it's insane out here. The butchery, what humans are willing to do to other humans. Amazing. But then when you go back to the Dark Ages, you see some of these old stretching machines and cages and torture machines. Jesus Christ. What species is this? I'm scheduled to have an appointment to have a very large fibroids removed, 16 plus centimeters. Wow. Last time I started a course of injections to shrink them, it didn't work. Yeah, it rarely does. And the problem is putting all this chemistry and stuff in. Now, you guys probably not going to like it when I say this, but if you have too large of a tumor or too large of fibroids, your best bet is to have them removed. If you're willing to sit there for a couple of years and do the do, and you're okay, there's not bleeding and you're okay, then okay. But if you're having large tumors or fibroids and you're having trouble with them, you know, there's just some things you got to do. Remember who you are and who the body is and isn't. And just remember, you're just using that thing while you're here. So don't make tissue a part of you. But I respect tissue and I love healthy cells, and that's what we're thinking of. We're thinking of the beautiful cells that's part of all of life too. And what they have to deal with and the kind of foods that are coming at them, the kind of chemistry that are coming at them. I went through hell with the symptoms of menopause till I found Chinese herbs. I remember reading this last time. Hot flashes went overnight. Yeah, I remember reading this. Didn't I read this on the last video? Let me see. Opt out of Red Clover. He was not happy. Yeah, I think I've read this. This is a 46-year-old female. Oh, she has been using Senna since she was 18 years old. Not good. You know, I talked about Cascara sagrada in the last video because when you're an herbalist and you're using herbs, you really don't listen to the bull crap and the lies that have filtered around things, plants like lobelia and Oregon grapefruit. That's always been a well-respected one. Some medical he's like a pathologist. He's not even a pathologist. He's a coroner. Said that this one kid died from, could have from Oregon grapefruit. I'm going, oh, well, there goes pharmaceutical companies because they make Oregon grapefruit supplements for psoriasis. But it's just, and where did this guy get the information? Online. I mean, anybody have a question about herbs? There's plenty of herb schools. Canada has some beautiful herb schools. Call up an herb school. You don't ask a medical doctor about herbs, and I don't ask a medical doctor about surgeries unless there's something I want to know about them, and then I'm going to ask an expert. I'm going to ask a surgeon about surgery. I'm not going to ask a GP. You're not going to ask a medical doctor about herbs unless he's an herbalist. Weekend courses doesn't satisfy for becoming an herbalist. At the third visit and injection, he told me I would need a hysterectomy without any examination or scans. That's when I went to the herbalist. Been on herbs for 2 months in preparation for the op. I'm taking iron, aloe vera, burdock root, fenugreek, turmeric, and sea kelp. Good stuff. Yep. I would get my kidneys filtering and my lymph moving. Now think a little deeper. Think about why you have the fibroids. And you've got to fix these kidneys. And you want to get your body as hydrated as possible. And you want to get your, this is alkaline, is, base chemistry side. You want to get your kidneys filtering, because when you're done with the surgery, you want to have all the damage to the cells, and the cells that have been damaged. You want all this cleaned up through the lymph nodes and out through the kidneys. And then that way it'll keep you from getting scar tissue and adhesion. So you want to run to the alkaline door as fast as possible. And it could be that by running to the door, which means more grape fast, that fibroid will go down faster, particularly when you get the kidneys. If you don't get your kidneys filtering, that's when you don't see a lot of beneficial effect in the body. But the answer is obvious to that when you realize that the kidneys filter the acids out of the body. That's not happening. And plenty of you guys have already proved that understanding to the world by all that you've done to yourselves. So I would focus on some herbs for the kidneys. I get my adrenal glands up, so my steroids and neurotransmitters are up. That way when you go under the knife and under propofol, you've got some strong nerves. So I'd go brain and nerve. You could do some lower circ to try to move blood more aggressively through the uterus, but the lymph is the key. I follow a vegan diet, 95% raw. If you want to get rid of that fibroid, you want 100% raw, and I would say 100% fruits, berries, and melons. If you want to get rid of a large fibroid, in times of stress, I lapse into bad coping habits, including bread, cheese, chocolate. That's candida. That's emotional coping, but it's also candida coping. Get yourself on a Parasite M. Get your adrenals up. It'll strengthen up your emotions, honey. I have cooked veggie and rice now and again. None of that's a problem. She lives on the west coast of Scotland. Finhorn should be around you somewhere, right? I don't know if Finhorn is still there. It should be. University was on Finhorn. That was an amazing place. Have done juicing and fasting. Juice fasting gives me stomach ache and juice fasting gives her stomach ache and wind. So you're probably looking at a little pancreatic weakness going on there, and maybe some stomach inflammation as well. Got to get into the bowels and clean them up. You see why we're always into these areas, to clean them up? Because when you start talking to people and your friends and the people you're working on, one symptom becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4, and 5. And pretty soon you've got someone listing a sheet of paper full of symptoms. What's beautiful is that most of them you can move into one category: acidosis and lymph. Not all, but most. She's 46 years old. She's been on Senna. So here's the thing. You got to go on bound number 5. Now number 5 is not a laxative, but it'll help you get away from Senna. Senna is very addicting, not good, and this lady has innervated her bowel considerably. If she's 46 and been on Senna since she's 18, she's done a lot of overstimulation to the gut. She's going to have some real weak peristalsis. She's got to do 2 things: increase those adrenal neurotransmitters. Key. Also, get away from Senna. It's going to be a titration effort. Get number 5. If you have to do a tad bit of Senna, you start titrating. In other words, you start coming down off of your dosage that's moving you. And you want number 5 to start moving you. If you can get number 5 to start moving you without Senna, you're in a good place. Then we can come down to number 4, number 3, number 2, and we can get you off of all things except the restoratives, which are number 5 down. Our formulas are restoratives, but number 5 does have some movement power in them. When you have people like this, you got to help them. They've been on, this is as bad, being on Senna for what, 20-some, 30-some years, it's almost as bad as giving yourself coffee enemas. The point is that one day, innervation sets in to the point where you can't poop at all. And this is a problem. You can't overstimulate tissue, and our society either overstimulates, moves, suppresses. It doesn't make healthy. And that's what you guys are out teaching, is making things healthy instead of overstimulating, understimulating, removing, those sort of things, suppressing. That's all pharmaceuticals is, either stimulants or suppressing, except for maybe Mucinex, and I think that's a little more of an expectorant. I'm a personal trainer, so you can imagine what I've been taught. Absolutely. History of eating disorders and exercise addiction. Yeah, see, and the problem with that is, if you're an exercise trainer, you've probably been doing some high-protein diets. Say goodbye to the kidneys and bowels, but that's what you're pretty much doing here. So you just got to get back away from the proteins and away from all of that stuff. Get yourself 100% raw and get up on the grape bass. We'd be very grateful for any advice and insight you have. Love from Carrie. Love, sweetheart. Thank you so much. And a big hug. Ooh, I kind of like that. P.S. Oop is on 3rd of March. What do I do to help recover after? I would run and see if I can get that fibroid way down before that. But if you can't, raw always. Raw always. But remember, the lymph system is what cleans you. Ooh, I gotta go. The lymph system is what cleans you and what builds you. So always remember, that's key essential. Raw, which cleans and strengthens. The herbs accelerate clean and strengthening. Yeah, and you can do a lot with the herbs you can't do with the foods. You can have all kinds of fun with the herbs. The herbs, picture yourself as a kid in a candy store, Willy Wonka in a chocolate factory. And that's exactly what herbs are. They're like, looky what I've got here. I've got an herb that can make my kidneys stand up and sing. You can't say that with pharmaceuticals. You can't say that with homeopathics either. You can't say that with vitamins and minerals either. Just saying. Love you guys. So always a pleasure to spend time with each and every one of you. We've been burning candles at both ends, so I've been a little ratted out. I probably can tell, but I love you guys. You're doing so well, and keep it up. Keep it up. And try not to have too many organs and glands removed. Make healthy. But to make healthy, one must clean and remove that which makes things unhealthy. Love you all. Have a fun day. May the blessings be.